Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Well, welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. My name is Joseph Sangle, and I'm joined today again by Megan Hibbard, my longtime co-host of this podcast. Years and years of co-hosting this podcast, helping people on their money journey. Isn't that awesome?
It is awesome.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
We had a lot of great success stories that happen, and we're on episode number what?
We are on episode 152.
On the final day of May.
I know.
May 31st.
May has gone by fast.
It's amazing. And you know what? I suspect June will as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to officially on the podcast declare that spring is over in South Carolina, where we're recording this at our international headquarters, and the month of summer has begun.
Spring was like a day.
I feel like spring lasted a very long time, actually. I don't know where you've been.
I was in Puerto Rico. Maybe that was it.
Maybe that's why. Yes, exactly. Okay, so tell everybody what we're going to talk about today.
Yes. So today we're talking about preparing your vacation budget. So our question is, we seem to do really well with our budget throughout the year, except during the summer months. It seems like all of our good money habits get thrown aside when the regular routine of school comes to an end. Summer seems to kill our finances, especially summer vacation. Any tips you can share that would help us stick to the plan during summer would be helpful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. I think a lot of people are saying, yep, that's exactly what happens. Plans, routines, including budgeting routines, good financial behavior, they tend to get thrown out the window in this season. And so we're going to address that. But before we do that, we're going to one of my favorite sections of the podcast. You know what time that is? Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
The Monday Money Tip Podcast is sponsored by the Fully Funded Life Membership Program. The Fully Funded Life Membership Program provides all you need to begin winning with money and live a fully funded life. Fully Funded Life includes 4 key components: courses, challenges, coaching, and community. Courses provide financial education. Challenges help you make massive progress in a specific money skill. Coaching is provided by the Fully Funded Life Certified Coaches through open office hours held multiple times each month. All of the courses, challenges, and coaching results in an outstanding community that help equip, motivate, and encourage you to take your next financial steps toward your fully funded life. Fully Funded Life. Courses, challenges, coaching, community. All that's missing is you. Learn more and receive a special offer for Monday Money Tip listeners today at fullyfunded.life/MMT. That's www.fullyfunded.life/MMT.
Well, listen, for today's current money event section, I'm going to talk about something that's really relevant to us here in South Carolina and approximately 13 other states.
Yes.
We experienced a gas shortage.
It was wild.
Yes, the Colonial Pipeline System delivers about 45% of the fuel for the East Coast, including gasoline and jet fuel. It runs more than 5,500 miles from Texas to New Jersey.
Yeah.
Woo! And it runs right past my farm. Oh. And I wasn't there listening, but I understand it went empty. So here's another thing from an article. It said states like Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, and Virginia may be especially vulnerable because they have limited options in terms of fuel transportation alternatives. Gulf Coast states can more easily rely on shipments from tankers. Well, gas shortages or any other shortages like we experienced during COVID, like shortages on toilet paper, milk, water, bread, and now there's a shortage on Chick-fil-A sauce.
I don't understand that.
It's because they're selling it in bulk now, I think. I don't know.
They are selling
But here's what I would just say, is all these things I just listed, they're commodities. And you may have heard of commodities trading, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, where they trade commodities. And commodities, the very definition of them is that they're wildly available with little to no pricing control from one single producer or provider. So the provider, like a farmer, they can't really control the corn prices. And while you and I think 1,000 acres is a lot of land to farm, that's nothing when you compare it to the millions of acres. So they have no pricing power. A commodity is also widely used, like lots of people use it. Gasoline, is widely used.
Very much.
And here's another thing about commodities is no one really notices them until they're not available or a rumor exists that they won't be available.
Yeah.
So we were getting ready for a 10 a.m. meeting on a Tuesday, and I kind of looked at a guy in the office and said, how much gas is in your tank? He said, I got an eighth of a tank. I said, I have a quarter of a tank. I'm going to miss the first 10 minutes of this meeting, and I'm going to run over to this gas station. So we did. We filled up the tank. There was another guy there filling up every gas can he'd ever owned, probably his neighbors too. And so we came back to the office, and another person in the office said, what'd you guys just do? And we're like, we went and got gas. We think it's going to run out for real. Mm-hmm. He left. He went to the same gas station. As he's sitting there getting ready to pump, they walk up and kicked up the price $1. Price gouging before his eyes. Amazing. Because when they become not available or a rumor exists they might not become available, well, then pandemonium ensues for a little while. And it's happening with lumber. Mm-hmm. It's happening with windows. It's happening with tons of building supplies. They're commodities until they're not available. And this is why margin is so important, not just financially. So I want to ask some questions in our current money event section is, do you have a well-stocked savings account? And number two, do you have a well-stocked pantry? It is important to have that. And do you have an emergency preparedness plan? So since I really want people to maybe sit down if they're listening to the podcast. Oh, I'm glad you're sitting down, Megan, because this might blow you away. I mean, you might get woozy and just be overwhelmed at the thought of this. But I am an officially trained assistant scoutmaster in the Boy Scouts now. I'm either assistant scoutmaster or assistant to the scoutmaster for the people who are fans of the office. You don't know. But I encourage everyone to follow the Boy Scout motto, which is be prepared.
Yeah.
And that's what this current money event section is all about, is these commodity things, they happen from time to time, and you've got to be prepared. And so it is an excellent motto, not just for the Scouts. It's a great motto for everybody to live life by, financially and otherwise. And that's it for my right now very relevant current money event.
Yeah, my sweet neighbor texted us on Sunday night, and we had like the Sunday night of it. And we just got back from Puerto Rico. We were exhausted. We were unpacking. And she was telling me that the gas station, it was like a very abrupt text. It was like, the gas stations run out of gas. They only have premium. And I was like, what?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? And then she mentioned something about a pipeline. And I had no idea what was happening. So I told Jordan, I was like, I guess go get gas. And so he went to like the 7-Eleven that's close to our house. And he pulled up and he was like, this is a zoo. He texted me and he was like, there are cars everywhere. There are people everywhere. There's like 3 or 4 people in lines. Like everyone is freaking out. Everyone's getting gas. And I think it's because like that happened. Like everyone was texting everyone being like, get gas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Get gas. And then everyone's like rushing to the gas station. But we got gas in both of our cars.
Hey, let me tell you, rumor mills run very efficiently long before text messaging happened. Text messaging put it on another level.
Yeah. Well, she's so sweet. She would have come and knocked on our door. So she's a sweet neighbor. But so hopefully you didn't run out of gas. But our success story this week is from Jennifer, and she wrote her pastor at Connexus Church, which is one of our good friends, Connexus Church, 3 months into using the I was broke, now I'm not method. And she said, now that we are watching our money, it's starting to behave, and we truly realize the value of $1. As Joe says, the landing of the reality that money is finite and takes a while to build. I start to think about how many hours I had to work for that thing I want to buy, and it's sobering and gives me pause to think if I really need it. That's good. Often I don't. I'm paying my Visa off monthly now because I don't have to guess what to pay now versus what to defer to later. And I know my commitments and set aside that money versus thinking that I have money to pay with because it's still in my account. I'm saving in known expense category and now can pay cash for things like car repairs, pet fees, gifts, and seasonal sports costs for the kids. Before these went on the Visa and sat. Overall, a very positive change in our lives. So thank you so much for doing this small group and sending the I Was Broke Now I'm Not. She got a copy of our I Was Broke Now I'm Not ladder poster and book. I didn't realize how much our finances were at the heart of spiritual wellness and freedom and also our relational health. These financial tools will position us well to be able to understand what is needed so I can make this important transition in my life towards God's calling for me.
That's awesome. And so, Jennifer, thanks for writing us. And what I love about this is from a person who's in Canada. Mm-hmm. And these principles work wherever you live.
Yeah.
And what is really interesting is in 3 months, there's this new level of awareness. And here's what I know. If we can help every person who listens to this podcast, every person who we encounter along the way with this thing called I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, the Monday Money Tip podcast, if we can help them just truly think, not unconsciously, not always doing the behavior that they always do, but really think. And I love what she's done here. She's really made it very personal. Hey, that item I want, how many hours do I have to work for it? And is that worth the trade-off?
Yeah.
And that money is finite. And I've got to be focused if I want to be able to make process. And what I love at the end is she's saying towards the calling that she has. So she's moving towards something. So she has a big why. And when you get that big why, it helps you stick to the what of financial management. Yeah. So thanks, Jennifer, for sharing that story. We're so excited for you. And if you were able to come this far in 3 months, imagine what happens in 3 years or 3 decades.
Yeah,
awesome.
Great. Okay, our question for today, I'll read it again, but we seem to do really well with our budget throughout the year, except for during the summer. It seems like all of our good money habits get thrown aside when the regular routine of school comes to an end. Summer seems to kill our finances, especially summer vacation. Any tips you can share that will help us stick with the plan during the summer would be helpful.
Yes. And so I think we all feel this pain. I think anybody who has rhythm in their life that is disrupted by the summer. So who's in that category primarily? Well, it's parents and grandparents. You know, that's when they go. A lot of people who don't have kids still in the house and they do a lot of traveling maybe in the off season. You know, they have that flexibility. But really it's those individuals who have kids who have rhythm, school, college, whatever it might be. Yeah. That causes rhythm to happen and then causes rhythm to go away. And so I remember this for us with vacations. And prior to getting with the program, financially speaking, you know, Joe and Jen Sangle would still go on vacation. But let me tell you, a credit card bill was chasing us home big time. And there was a level of stress related with it. And the stress was not, hey, are we going to be able to cover the minimum payment? Because I knew I could cover the minimum payment, but there was no idea that I was going to pay it off. I mean, there's just no way that was going to happen. And so I knew I was just adding to a balance that already existed. And a little bit of that is either a loss of hope or a deferred hope that you could ever become debt-free, including the credit card. And I remember when we finally got a budget put together, and that summer of July 2003, when we put together our first budget and had savings, and we just said, we're not going to go on any vacation we cannot pay cash money for, because we, Joe and Jen, had to cut up the credit cards. And we shut off the accounts. And that's not the right step for everybody, but for us it was, because I could not control me. The credit cards were enabling my impulsiveness. Yeah. And so it was whatever we were able to save up. That's what we were able to go on vacation with. And I will tell you, that was the greatest vacation ever, financially speaking, because there was this rejoicing in that we were going out to eat, but we had cash for it. And that no bill was chasing us home. The balance wasn't going to be larger, which meant we were going to make progress on our debt reduction. And so every vacation since has been that way. And I know that a lot of people's heartbeat is the same way that my bride and I's heartbeat is. I think you have the same heartbeat is, hey, I like buying some things, but I really like buying memories, especially with my kids. Yeah. And every year we have a summer vacation in the state of Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes. There's actually more than 11,000 named lakes. Wow. But my kids, my youngest, who's 7 right now, has no idea that she just thinks in the summer you leave South Carolina and go on a 24-hour car ride to Minnesota. That's what she thinks happens. And they talk all year, my 2 youngest, about Minnesota, because that's where they hang out with cousins. That's the greatest week of their year. Yeah. And so I maybe you could share your story with vacations and, you know, the priority it is in your life and maybe saving up for it.
Yeah, for
You
us,
say you just got back from Puerto Rico.
we did. Yeah, so for us, it's a huge priority, mainly because we don't live close to family, and so for us, it's kind of the time when we get to see our family and spend time with them, and we take off work and we like prioritize like. Sometimes we take off work. Sometimes I still work, but prioritize trying to be, present with them. And
You have joined us from the beach before. I remember
have.
that. With some big Ray-Ban
Why do I do
mirrored
that?
glasses. It's pretty hilarious.
But for us, we love that, and we prioritize spending time with our family, and we really want to do that, and especially for like Logan to have time with cousins and that kind of stuff, because we don't live close. So for us, most years, and like this year particularly, like we did 1 whole week with Jordan's family, we're doing 1 whole week with my family, and then we're doing 1 week with me and Jordan and like some of our best friends. And that's like, when I think about it, I'm like, wow, like that's 3 weeks of vacation that we're able to do. And we're not charging any of those. Like they're all paid for in advance. And we're all able to pay for that because we save and we have a line item in our budget that's called vacation. And every month we save for that and it comes out. And we just know that money is automatically going into that account.
Yes. So you're giving some of the tips.
I am, sorry.
So I love it. You're jumping ahead. That's good. But I just want to ask our podcast listeners, I want you to listen to this question. Have you ever been on a paid for in advance, a cash paid for in advance vacation? If you have not, we highly recommend it. And anyone who's been on both types of vacation, one that you financed with credit card, that sort of thing, or you paid for with cash, there's a difference. So today we want to help you keep rhythm and be able to pay cash for this summer's vacations and all of them coming forward.
Yeah.
And so the first thing that they could do is what?
Yes. So number 1 is prepare a monthly budget looking ahead 12 months.
Right. So if you want to make sure that the 2022 summer vacation is great, you should prepare for it in 2021. You should be looking ahead. I mean, really all of this boils down to good planning, right? And that's what this is about, is when we talk about a monthly budget, we're talking about you're looking at 12 columns, right? It's May 31st on the date of this podcast being released. Maybe you're listening to it, it's June already. But it's saying I'm looking at June now through May next year. That's 12 months. And what I do is I always add a new month at the end. So I'm always looking ahead 12 months. I'm just always doing that month by month by month. And every month is different. Some of the bills are the same or very close to the same. Others, back to school expenses, all that stuff, and vacation. And so that's a huge deal. That if you do that habit, that alone forces you to start thinking and saying, hey, what vacation do we want to take next summer? How do we make sure we do have rhythm when we go into the summer? What's the second thing they could do?
So the second thing is prepare a vacation budget. And I feel like this is important. So we have a tool that you can use. It's called the mini budget. But I feel like a lot of people, when they're looking at vacations, they don't even know what budget they're looking at. So you don't know, are you looking at a condo? It's like, we like to go to the beach. Well, is the condo you're looking at $100 a night or is it $500 a night? Because that's a really big difference in your budget, like you should only be looking at, condos or houses that are in your budget. And so like preparing that budget ahead of time allows you to be able to see this is where we're at, and we don't need to look at the ones that are ahead.
And so I would just say that vacation budget, using the vacation mini budget, we'll have a link in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, you just click on the show notes and it'll take you to it. But this budget allows you, it's separate from your regular budget. It allows you to say, hey, I have this amount of money allocated to summer vacation. I have this much money allocated to summer vacation number 2. I don't know what it is, or fall vacation, whatever it is. And you put in there, hey, maybe it's $2,200 and we need to fly. We need lodging. We need food. There's entertainment. So there's really 4 big categories: travel, lodging, food, and entertainment. And if you have a budget for that in advance, it forces you to do research. A lot of times you realize, man, airfare's more than I thought. Hey, we might want to just allocate some of our vacation to driving, and we'll just leave at midnight. People do this stuff because a tank of fuel or 2 is way cheaper than buying airfare for 4 people.
Yeah.
And so having that budget That monthly budget looks out 12 months in advance, where you can see yourself allocating money every month towards this known upcoming expensive vacation. The second part is that vacation budget. And then, of course, you have to follow it. And then what's the third thing?
Yeah, so number 3 is include vacation in your known upcoming expenses calculations, or your Qs. And this is kind of one of the things that I alluded to a little bit, but it's coming every month. So you should save for it every month. So you know that maybe in July, your family always goes on vacation. So you have 11 other months to be saving for it every year. Or maybe it's so for us, this trip to Puerto Rico was we rescheduled it multiple times because of COVID and me having a baby, whatever. But so we knew ahead of time that this was happening. So we had months and months and months to save for it, 3 years, so it was something that we knew was coming and we were able to save for it. So it wasn't a surprise.
So that's great. And really what you're just saying is when you do that, when you make it an every month expense or an every paycheck expense, you're leveling out or evening out the financial pain.
Yeah. So the vacation you talked about, you said $2,200 or $2,300. So, a lot of people see that and they think there's no way I could afford that. Well, yeah, if you're paying for 1 month, right then, probably not.
It's very challenging.
If you're saving for it every month, that price is a whole lot smaller.
Yeah, it's $200 a month or less.
It's a whole lot
easier
to do.
If you're paid twice a month, that's 24 paychecks. That's $100 a paycheck.
Yeah.
And it evens out that pain. Now, your willingness to want to save it when you're 6 months away from the vacation may be lessened. Yeah. But remind yourself for the pain of not having enough money, and it will help you stick to that. And I just always say, automate it. And one of the things that I know is when you're doing that, every month or every paycheck you're saving for it, it gets your attention and it causes you to be able to gain better deals because you're not looking for stuff last minute. I've noticed, if you don't plan out entertainment, you're not going to get the discount rate when you show up at the window and say, can I get in Disney World today?
Yeah. Well,
when I go to the theme park, it's people who buy tickets in advance. That's who gets a deal.
Yeah.
Same thing with lodging. Same thing with airfare. If you're booking within a couple weeks, not all, we've all heard of last minute deals, but most of the time you get better deals by planning in advance in your known upcoming expenses. And then give them a fourth tip.
Yep. So number 4 is use cash for your discretionary spending.
Yeah. So that's a big word, discretionary. So at your discretion. So give some practical handles for people to talk about on using cash for discretionary spending.
Yeah, so you can include this food, entertainment, or a miscellaneous category. So, maybe you want to go out to get ice cream one night, and that wasn't necessarily included in your food budget. Or maybe you want to go to the aquarium. That might not have been included in your discretion, in your budget, but you're I really want to go, and it's kind of your money that you can decide what you do with it. But you have the cash.
And because you pulled it out in cash,
key.
Here's the key. You're always going to be able to answer 2 questions. Question number 1 is, how much money have we spent? But that is a question only savers want to know the answer to. I'm a spender. I could care less how much we spent.
How much do we have
I want to
left?
know the second question, which is what? Say it again.
How much do we have left?
Yes, that's right. How much do we have left to spend? That's what I'm interested in. And both questions are important. Of course, as I say, savers care most about question 1. Spenders care the most about question 2. But as long as you have the rule that you will not use the debit card or credit card for these discretionary expenses, you can use the credit card to buy the airplane tickets. You can use it to book the Airbnb, right? That's a fixed cost that you've planned for in your budget. But more than anything, the reason we're sharing this is we want you to be able to enjoy every part of your vacation, including the memories part. And if you're at home remembering your great trip to Puerto Rico, remembering our Minnesota trip, but then every month you're reminded when you look at the credit card balance that you went there.
Yeah.
And you, man, listen, it's painful. I want you to be able to break up with the money you saved up for that very thing, have a wonderful vacation, and all that chases you home are great memories.
Yeah.
And all the pictures showing up on Time Hop every year thereafter.
Yeah. So one thing about Puerto Rico is we went there and, our lodging was super affordable. We used miles for plane tickets. So overall our cost was very low, but food there is very expensive because
You have to get it to an island.
yeah, you're getting
And they can't grow it all there.
Yeah, and most of it, like, I mean, things there you wouldn't really think about, but like their cars go through the United States and then come there, which seems crazy to me. But and so the food budget was like pretty high. So
Was it good?
Yeah, the food was great. It was awesome. I highly recommend it. But like we would send like me and Jordan, and then his brother is like, where all the savers would go to the grocery store because we knew like we were within a budget. We knew, okay, yeah, at home we could buy that, but here, because we're in a different, like, we're not in the continental United States, Oreos are really expensive, so we're just not going to buy them. You know, we bought
No. This is not endorsed by Megan's co-host on this
we bought
podcast.
the off-brand, okay?
Off-brand Oreos?
Yeah. They were not bad.
Okay.
Aldi has them too. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But choices were made, and that, you know.
I'm just telling you that was not an authorized statement. I'm just telling you right now because I'm buying the double stuff. Oreo.
I like the double stuff.
Oreo.
But because we were trying to stay within a budget, you know, there were certain items that we didn't get that at home we wouldn't have thought twice about, mainly because we shop at Aldi. And
Yes.
so, but in a different country, we had to know.
I think what we just stumbled on here is you mentioned this very practical thing, send the saver. I'm a
Yes.
spender. I love to go to the grocery store on vacation. I buy stuff I would never buy at the household level. And so I would just say, make sure you have a little room in the budget to be able to send the spender so that some crazy stuff can show up at the house.
Well, we sent the spenders the
terrible
first
food
trip.
for your diet and all that stuff. Yeah, for the first trip.
The first trip, the
yes.
spenders went, and then the rest of the trip, the savers went.
And send the spender only with cash. And don't send them with all the cash.
Yeah.
Send them, make them think it's all the cash.
This is all we have.
Yeah, that's right. So what's our quote for today's episode?
Yes, our quote for today is, I want to vacation so long I forget all my passwords. And it's from Unknown. That's good.
That is a great quote. And I don't know if anybody says a good amen to that, but I want a vacation so long I forget all my passwords. You ever forgot a password?
Well, Jordan makes fun of me because I forget my passwords all the time. Like, I can't even remember my email password because it automatically logs me in.
Oh.
I'm like, I literally don't know. He laughs me. I have to look it up every time.
Well, I think it's really important, you know. I've had that happen a couple times, and it's when I take the 6 weeks off in the summer.
I was like, I've
had that
out
happen,
in the summer.
and it's like alarming. It's like, what? Wait, what? Huh?
As long as you remember the password to your password
Yeah, I know.
page.
There you go. Well, hey, I hope this is helpful to you, and I'm encouraging you, really prepare that budget. I think you'll be so glad you did, and we want to hear about your cash paid for in advance vacation. If you have success, and whatever helps you, make sure you stick to that budget. Comment on it. Be able to share this with others. We know lots of people are getting ready to go on vacation. We want to make sure it doesn't derail their finances. Tell everybody what we're going to talk about on episode 153.
Yes. So on 153, we're talking about the power of 1%. So what we do with 1% of our time can greatly affect the other 99% of our time.
Yes. So it's going to be an inspirational, motivational pep talk.
It's good.
Yeah. And so we're excited about that. So I do encourage you, pull up that vacation budget, prepare that. And if you've been helped with one of our tips, please share it with us on one of the social media or by emailing it to us at info at iwasbrokenowimnot.com. You can shorten it to the 6 letters that I just said, iwbnin.com. Until next time, we'll see you next Monday. Do one positive thing this week. And let me just suggest it be the vacation budget. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.